Good morning, friends. This is the longest running daily variety show on planet Earth. Day 1,836 in a row. We're doing it. And guys, lots going on in the world. We have a few news stories that we're going to bring to you today. I'm going to get right into it. Matt Zabrowski's here. Going to hit us with a woohoo in a moment. But it's a busy Thursday. Top of the morning to you. I hope you're doing well. Every morning at 9 a.m. I join you to try to lift you up a level. See if I can hit you a couple of news stories, maybe play you a piece of music, and then go out into the day and make a positive difference on this world. Affecting a positive change one person at a time. That's actually the motto of my show. And I've been here 1,836 days in a row now doing that, trying to see if I could at least provide a sliver of hope in a world that seems to have zero hope. In a world that wants to divide you from the Creator, I'm here to remind you that the Creator exists by providing that little sliver of hope on a daily. So, subscribe, turn on all notifications here on YouTube, Mark Inspires or Mark Inspires TV. And let's get this party started. I got a couple stories. I'm going to pop them up on the screen and see. You're going to head to YouTube to see this one, guys, though. TikTok. Let me throw this up there. We got Matt Zabrowski here. He's going to hit us with a woohoo, typical. So we get every day here on the Mark Inspire show. Lifting you up a level or two. Let's see where I have this news story. So last night was another awesome show. I wrote a new song. And it was called My Last Breath. And I want to thank Trish Killian for providing the title for that song. The way it goes, if you guys don't know, when you join me and I have a guitar in my hand, all you have to do is throw 3 words on the screen or a topic, and I will create a song live in the moment for you. You may have seen the guy named Harry Mack. He does that with hip-hop. I do it with rock and folk and punk. Not punk, funk and blues. I got my coffee here. Needed this morning. Because we had a rockin' show last night. Then I was working on real estate after, so I didn't get to bed till pretty late. In fact, when I went to bed, I was like, maybe I don't need to do a 9 a.m. show, but I want you guys to know I'm here every morning at 9 now. So make sure you turn your calendars to it, whatever you want to do, set a little timer. First story of the day, this isn't it. We're doing this one second. Maybe we'll just do it first, since this is partially a real estate show, especially in the mornings. So, let me see what I can pop up here for you and have that conversation. Zabrowski, give me a woohoo. I just need one. Sometimes he gives us 2. So our first story of the day is what to know about buying the worst house in the best neighborhood. Salman, how are you, my friend? So good to see you. Salman Faris is kicking it with us over here on YouTube. Guys, join him in the chat. Join him in the chat. The link is in the bio, TikTok. So what to know about buying the worst house in the best neighborhood? First of all, that is the best strategy possible if you want to bank money in the future. Something to live for. Oh, sorry, guys. He wants me to throw it to him. Sure, Zabrowski, I'll throw it to you. Woohoo! That was a good woohoo. Thanks, Zabrowski. It's a 9 a.m. woohoo. It's what the world needs. You know, forget about showing up for the Mark Inspire show. Show up for the woohoo from Matt Zabrowski, lifting you up a level. So here we go. First story of the day here. And thank you for joining me for this. Like I said, every morning we get together to inspire. And this is 5 years in a row every day, guys. The show was late at night until now it's morning. And then if I can, I'll do a night show as well, which has been every day lately. So 2 shows a day of positivity, live songwriting, comedy, and comedy news. So hope you enjoy, and also real estate tips, advice. I've been selling real estate for 15 years. That's what I do to make a living. I just happen to be an entertainer. So when I come out here and I'm being comedic or I'm writing a song, that's not my profession. It's just what I like to do to break you away from the matrix of this world, the lies that continue in this, keep us on this path of non-truth. So what we do is just to have some fun here. Let's get away from it all. Let's go. First story of the day. Can I pull it up? Joanne, do me a favor. Keep the wheeze down. Gosh almighty, Joanne. Guys, that was Joanne, not me. I mean, I hope you know that. Some people are like, oh, where's Mark? No, I don't tutor-looter on camera. That's a no-go. Anyway, let's get into it. What to know about buying the worst house in the best neighborhood. Again, this to me is the ultimate strategy when you are trying to put money in your pocket in the future. So every neighborhood seems to have one. A tired, worn down house. Perhaps the home is abandoned with overgrown yard, broken window or two, and perhaps a sagging front porch in need of TLC. These properties have a number of backstories, such as an aging homeowner, lack of funds due to illness, or unforeseen circumstances. In better neighborhoods with manicured lawns and beautifully maintained houses, these unloved properties stand out, beckoning to potential buyers. These houses seem to shout opportunity, however. Buyers also, I'm getting ahead, I'm not even reading. Let me just read instead of telling you, however. I'll give you my point of view afterwards. Buyers know that although it is simpler to buy the newest house with all the latest accoutrements, the pricing and competition for new construction or well-maintained houses is steep in this market. That is very true. People don't want to do a thing. And this is what I wanted to really dive in on. The value is in sweat equity. The value is you buying something that requires work, and if you can, do the work personally. If you can't, you hire someone. It's still going to probably wind up being a bit of a wash when you hire someone, because costs are so, extravagant. Everything's exorbitant these days. So I don't know if you're going to get a really cheap renovation, but what I would say is you're going to wind up paying less than you would if you went directly for a finished home, brand new home, or a decently maintained home in any market in the United States right now. So let's just go through this, and then we'll add a little color as we go. Buyers who adhere to the budget are flexible, have imagination, and are willing to do some detective work on the background of a property. They're poised to benefit from buying the worst house on the street and bringing it up to the standards of the neighborhood. Location, location, location. There's a reason why they say it 3 times. It's the most important thing when you're dealing with what you buy. Where you buy. Yeah, you can get a house anywhere, but where is it? Is there value to the land under the sticks that it is built on? So, older homes in need of upgrading, TLC, or gutting and renovating offer buyers abundant charm and, in most cases, superior construction. That's an interesting point. The houses that were built in the 20s and 30s were superiorly built. The wood was better. The materials these days are terrible. And the standards, because everything's manufactured, most of the wood that they're using in these homes now, it's like manufactured with glue, and like it's a lot of glued together, like 2x12s, and this is a lot of it is these LVLs that wind up being manufactured, for use. Instead of the old school, they'd cut it out of a log and they let it dry, and you'd have like a literal 4-inch wide log that you cut down into a beam. So our beams these days are all manufactured. They're all made by man. So I think this is a very good point. Superior construction. In the 1980s, we had the mortgage and loan crisis. And the joke was that all these people who were in finance who lost their jobs, bankers, just threw on a tool belt and started building houses. So the 1980s, if you buy a house in the 1980s, beware, especially 1986, that range, beware. Have an inspector look at that property thoroughly, because you may find that some guy named Skip, who was a day trader or worked at the bank, decided to throw on a hammer and build that house for you. Your first tell may be when you're walking sideways. Older homes, let's see. You ever been in one of those like wonky houses? Like I sell real estate, so I'm in them all the time. Those antique homes specifically, where one side of the room is 6 inches lower than the other side. You're like walking in some fun house. There's new construction like that too, where you walk and you feel a dip, and you're like, what is going on here? No, we got to bring in a jack, and we have to work that section up of the house because it's settling. It's an old settling routine. Houses do settle for a period of time once they're built. Usually a year and a half to 2 years, they're gonna continue to move. You'll see crown molding shifting, and you'll call your contractor in and say, hey, can you just kind of fill all the caulk around the crown in the house, because everything's shifted in certain areas. So this is normal stuff, guys. But location, 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 it is the industry standard, because where you buy is more important than what you buy. So let's talk about why. Who cares about a new kitchen, storm windows, a finished basement, all of which can be added to a house? Desirable, long-standing, high-quality neighborhood amenities cannot be underestimated. Even something as simple as sidewalks and streetlights can take years to manifest and an up-and-coming area. A childhood friend who moved frequently when she was young experienced this worst house, best neighborhood scenario firsthand with her family. She says that the neediest house in the best neighborhood typically is not updated and it is smaller than the other houses. However, rather than looking at the house, which can be helped, her parents paid strict attention to the neighborhood. Taking advantage of the wide streets, the big homes, superior school districts in proximity to the parks and recreation. These neighborhood amenities take years to establish and are not within a homeowner's immediate power to upgrade. So, you must do your research, researching the history of the house, either from public records, asking neighbors and realtors, or looking into the architect, year of construction, and materials used. Go back to what I said here. When you're buying a home that's prior to 2000, you want to make sure it's in the right range. If you get something in the 80s, have it inspected thoroughly and make sure that you have them also look into who built that house for you, just so you have a little understanding of the experience level of the construction company that took on that project. The best houses, in my experience, 1920s, 1930s, these people took a ton of pride in building. And they are solid. They're built out of the finest materials. A 2x4 is 2x4. I don't know if you guys know this, but a 2x4 is not 2x4. A 2x4 is 1.5 inches by 3.5 or something like that, maybe 3. Actually, I think I have one over here. It's about 3.5. I don't think it's a full 4 wide, but it's only 1.5 inches thick. It's not 2x4. It's 1.5 inches by 4, but probably a little less than 4. A real, if you guys have never seen a real 2x4, I actually have one downstairs because I was doing some work here, and I took one out of one of the areas where this is from, like 1903, the house, and it's thick. It is real wood. Douglas fir, 2 inches by 4 inches. That's a hacksaw Jim Duggan piece of wood right there, you know? So make sure you do your research. Try to look for a house in the 20s or 30s. Most importantly, ask people. Ask your realtor if you have a good realtor. If you don't have a good realtor, reach out to me. This is what I do for a living, guys. I could find you the best real estate agent anywhere in the country, and it costs you $0 to ask me to help. I am thrilled to help family members of this show. My intention for starting this show was to help you with real estate, to help you buy or sell whenever you needed to, whether it's New York or Connecticut or any of the other states, because my referral network is the biggest in the world. We're Berkshire Hathaway. We have agents everywhere. And if not, we have other firms that work with us when it comes to locating a great agent for my clients. And this is not just like, hey, I throw you into the system. Sometimes I do, because I trust these people. They're very good at finding the best agent for you. They ask the right questions. When I can, I ask the right questions. You, as the buyer of a home every 7 to 10 years, does not ask the right questions. I'm sorry. It's the same thing as if I was going to go and invest in the stock market and buy a E-Trade account or get an E-Trade account and start trading myself. It'd be mental. I don't know anything about finance for me to go in there and start pretending like I'm going to make boss moves. No, you go to a guy who does it and you say, what can you do for me? And that's the way I would always suggest when it comes to real estate. Don't learn real estate in a minute because you want to buy. Just call someone who's a professional and understands it. Someone who worked for 15 years creating a powerful business that provides useful information for their clients. There's many of us out there, but then there's lots of schlubs. So make sure you're choosing wisely. Don't just pick up the phone and say, oh, hi, Billy Bob? Are you the manager? Yeah. Hi, my name is Mark Pires. Yeah, no, not that one. No, I know it's the greatest show on earth. God, no, I'm a different Mark Pires. Look, I just wanted to see. You have an agent down there? I got to sell my house. Yeah, no, it's a big one. Yeah, no, we have grass, a pool, all that stuff. Look, I need the best agent you got. Sure, yeah, no, here's the address. Skibbity-boo-boo, jibbity-dibbity-doo-doo. Send them over. Yeah, no, that sounds good. Now, here's what happens on the back end, Billy Bob. Guys, we got a winner here. This guy needs to sell his house. Who do we got on deck? And then, like, the admin pulls out the roster. Well, we have Phyllis. Phyllis, she's our top agent, though. Yeah, no, she's the best. She'll probably get it done. Yeah, but how much commission does she take from us? Well, she gets, like, top commission. Oh, yeah, no, forget about Phyllis. What else do we got? We have Duncan. Duncan's good. Yeah, Duncan's been with us for a little while. What's Duncan got? Now, he's up there, too, with his commission. Who do we got at the bottom commission? oh, we have Dumbo, left feet, two left feet. That's what we call him, But he goes by Dumbo. Dumbo, what's his commission? He's the lowest commission. Oh, yeah, give him the lead. Let's go. Send him in. Now, Dumbo shows up at your house. Hey, my name is Dumbo. Came to sell your house. Now, in your mind, you're like, well, the manager sent Dumbo over, so it's got to be a great agent, right? No, the manager sent you over the agent that provides the company the biggest commission. The reason why you seek out the best agent is because the best agent is worth their weight in salt. They don't get the lowest commission because they've earned the top commission. That doesn't affect you, that affects the company. So for you, you're paying the same amount. Let's just call it $10,000. You're paying $10,000 when you sell your house to Dumbo, or you're paying it to the top agent. It really doesn't matter. It's the same amount of money. The question is, how much money are you putting in your pocket because of the job that Dumbo did or the job that I'm going to do for you? My favorite part of this job is negotiating. I love getting great deals for my clients. You have to be able to speak to people. You have to be able to speak to the value of the home that you are selling. This is what I do best. So if you're looking for someone who's going to dominate the negotiation process for you, someone who's going to help you find the greatest agent on planet Earth, because they're not going to just let the manager in the town that you live send you over the cheapest person they've got so they can make the most money for their bottom line, call me, DM me. I got you. I've been here 1,836 days in a row to be here for you and provide you with whatever you need, entertainment value or the greatest contact possible for when you buy or sell real estate. So DM me, it's Mark Pires. You can do mp@markpires.com, or you can send me messages on TikTok or on YouTube, and I will respond to you. Modoc Roughstock, one of our family members, sent me over his lead about 2 weeks ago, and he asked me, Modoc's in the house right now, my brother. He asked me to contact one of our real estate representatives out in Nevada. Now, guys, I'm in Connecticut. Guess what? We found a great agent for Modoc, and he just listed the house. And it was like this. It wasn't like it was a ton of work. He sent me a note, and then I did some work, and then before you know it, he's got someone to interview. Here's the best part about it. Modoc could have interviewed him and said, I don't like this guy. I'm going to still use the guy I found. You could do that. This is what I always suggest people who find this message. Find 3 people you want to potentially hire, and then let me find the 4th for you. You're paying the same amount to all 4 people. You decide who you like best. If I find you a better agent, that's great. I get a small referral from that agent when he sells the house. If not, you hire whoever that you want anyway. That's the whole point. But you have one more option that was manicured and selected specifically for you. So it's something I would take advantage of if I were you. Oh, look at that. Modoc said, my ex-brother-in-law was a top salesman for the local Coldwell banker, only because his parents bought 10 houses after selling one in Laguna Beach. That's hilarious. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. Modoc said, this is a small ranching community oppressed with mining prospects. I'm working on other connections to send. You're amazing. Thank you so much, Modoc. I really, really appreciate that. Wendy Kelly, how are you? I'd rather purchase a rundown one for far less money and do it up than one done up in someone else's style of home. I love that point. Thank you for pointing that out, Wendy. Another issue that I see in real estate is people who decide before they sell their house to renovate the house so they could sell their house. Now, what you're doing when you do that is you're making decisions for the next buyer that they may not like. Most times, and this is just a fun fact, almost every house that's purchased gets repainted. Hardly ever do you see someone go into that house and they're like, I love it. I'm sticking with it. They're always like, for example, my first house, my wife asked me to paint several rooms multiple times, different colors, because we painted it, we didn't like it, painted it again, and then like a year or two later, I painted it again. So like people want to put their own fingerprint on what they buy. So this idea that let me spend 12 grand to renovate the house and paint paint everything white. Well, that's actually probably the best thing you could do. If you're going to paint everything white. Go neutral and let that buyer walk in there and see themselves in the home. Leads me to another point. Some sellers believe it's a good idea to go to open houses, to be present during showings. This is a horrible idea. This is a horrible idea. If you were ever thinking about selling a house and you're like, you know what, I just want to stick around and see how it goes and see if I could add some value and fill in a couple blanks because I'm not sure if this agent can do a good job selling my house. You are destroying the possibility of selling your house if you do that. I'll just let you know that right now. Nobody wants to see the person that lives in the house when they're trying to find the house that they can live in. You're visualizing yourself in a home. Now you met this guy and you have this whole other thing going on now where there's a personality behind it, and that personality lived in this house that you're considering buying. Just stay away. My philosophy is if you want to meet a buyer or if a buyer wants to meet a seller, you do it the week of the closing. After all contracts have been signed, everything's through and the process is just waiting to be signed off on. That's when you do it. You never have a client meet a seller or vice versa prior to being totally clear of contingencies and you are clear to close. This is just my 15 years of experience speaking. I would never want to let that happen. I've seen things happen before. People believe their houses are worth way more than they actually are. And the problem is in 2024, they believe it because it's sort of true. People paid ridiculous money because of what they did to us the last 5 years. They were like, let's get people out of cities. And then they're going to force everybody back to the cities by 2030. In case you didn't know that. King Kong in the house. King Kong, we're doing a story about you today. Did you see that? Amy WC in the house. So you're selling your farm? Amy, if you don't sell that farm, please reach out to me so I can find you a better agent. Because the thought process here was from the very beginning is it's small referral fees that you get when you trade real estate. But if enough of them come up together, it can equal to one transaction if you do enough of them. So my thought process was if I could get every single family member that enjoys the show to reach out to me before they hire an agent. You could hire however the hell you want. But before you do that, let me get someone at that table. See if they do a better job or they can explain how they're going to do a better job for you than the other people you've found. And again, I do firmly believe when you call an office, and it may not be true, but I believe this, when you call an office and you ask that manager for the best agent so you could sell your house, they are sending you the person who puts the most money in the office's pocket, not in your pocket. And what I mean by that is what I said earlier. Your money and what you make is all between the real estate agents and how hard your agent fights for you on your behalf. So you have to always keep that in mind. You're hiring someone and you're asking a question what your commission is instead of saying, let me look at your track record on sales. Are you getting asking price? Are you getting over asking price on things? If you are, I'm not necessarily concerned about that. If old two left feet over there is getting 20% under asking price on every single transaction because they give away your money. This is like the other thing I think is hilarious. Throughout my 15 years, I've had many people say, hey, can you reduce your commission? And the simple answer is no, because I'm worth what I charge. I'm a very good real estate agent. I'm passionate at my job, and that sells. Therefore, when I get down to buyer in the house and I'm influencing them with my love for your property, you want to pay me full commission. Because you're not going to be losing anything at the end. Here's the person you want to stay away from. And this is a huge warning for anybody thinking about hiring an agent. If anybody ever walks in and says, I could do it and they're cutting their commission before they even walk in the door, or when you ask, can you cut your commission? You say, sure, yeah, I could cut my commission. Just think about how they're going to react when someone tries to knock down the price of your house. Yeah, sure, I'll beat up on my client and get them to accept that. Is that the guy you want? Is that the girl you want? Or do you want the person who's got a backbone and says, no, I earn every penny that I make? And if you want to hire the cheap guy and worry about what you pull in your pocket at the closing or not, some people don't think. They're like, yeah, I got a better commission. Like, okay, you saved $5,000 by cutting this agent's throat and lost $40,000 because of the negotiation. You got to think smart. Real estate is about the negotiation. Do you have a good agent who's going to negotiate on your behalf? And if you do, you pay them their weight. You don't try to skimp on that. And again, if you find someone who's got a backbone and they stand up for their value, that's the guy you hire. That's the lady you hire. You don't hire the one that says, sure, I'll do it for less. Now, if they eventually agree to work with you and give you a different rate, that's not the concern necessarily. It's how easy did you get that? Did they fight for their value? If they don't fight for their value, they're not fighting for your value when it comes down to negotiating. Facts. So keep that in mind. So I just want to finish up this one story here. The inspection. Home inspectors are essential when considering a purchase of a neglected or worn-out property. The financial investment of an inspection can save substantial amounts of renovation dollars later on. That's so true. Now, just keep in mind, this is just a side note, don't use inspections to go back at homeowners to get like nickel and dime stuff. That's not a good idea. You will kill deals, first of all. Secondly, anything you saw when you were walking through that house, you cannot bring up after. You can't go and say, well, the roof is old, when you could see that as you walked around the property. You can't go and say, the windows are old, when you could walk and visually see that while you inspected the property to put your offer in. Anything that you were able to see with your eyes is considered off limits when it comes to doing an inspection. You could bring it up, you could ask questions, but you can't say, I want you to replace it. You know how many times I've had people say, oh, that compressor's 18 years old. We want you to put a new compressor in before they move in. Well, excuse me, it's working. If it wasn't working, you'd get a new compressor. But we're not in the business of buying new mechanicals for people who are buying the house. Hey, here's a brand new mechanical because the other one was old. We didn't fix it when we were here, but it worked. We're not going to buy you a new one because you're moving in. You buy it yourself, or we'll give you a home warranty for a year in case anything happens. That's the best you're going to get is a home warranty. You're not going to get somebody who's going to buy you new things just because it's old. So keep that in mind. A lot of buyers think they can use the inspections as a negotiation tool. That's not what it's for. It's for informational purposes only, people. You can ask for things and someone may do things, but in general, informational purposes is what it's for, and use it for that. Don't take advantage and don't create a scenario where there's this animosity between seller and buyer. Go in there and be transparent. I have an issue up front. I saw this roof looks pretty old. I don't know what's going on over there. There's only about 2 years left, but it's still working. What are you supposed to do? You're going to either walk or you're going to ask them for a $12,000 roof and they're going to walk. So you have to make sure, and this is the big overarching point here, make sure you use your eyes. Make sure you look at everything before you put your offer in. You don't want to be the guy that says, well, no, my offer's changing now. And I've had that happen. And I've had deals still go through when people change their number, change their offer, ask for things that are completely insane. But for the most part, it doesn't happen. And almost every single time it's ever happened where someone says, hey, we want you to do something and I'm the listing agent, it's a no across the board. You want to buy the house, you guys put your offer in, you already considered all those items. I'm sorry, yes, the windows are old. And by the way, the windows being old, the roof, and everything else that you're pointing out is why the price is where it is. If those things were all done, you'd be paying up here. So let's be honest with people who are trying to nickel and dime on transactions. Nobody ever wants to talk about that. Okay, oh, well, the kitchen needs to be updated. The bathrooms need to be updated. Yeah, you'd be $300,000 higher if those things were done. You want to sit here and complain when you are actually able to buy this house because it's within your budget? Because the bathroom needs to be done. You can't go into a house that's priced accordingly because of the things you just mentioned and say, well, now I'm going to go in $50,000 less because the kitchen needs to be redone. Do you hear how stupid that sounds? You pay and houses are offered based on what it has. What if the property slopes, if you've got a pool in the backyard or a ditch in the front yard, if the basement is wet, all of these things play into what people offer their houses for. So going in with this this feeling that, okay, from here I can get one over on these people. Let me point out the things that need to be done. The biggest insult in the world. I'm going to tell you guys right now how to sell real estate. I'm going to tell you how you don't. And it's all in this one little explanation here. The biggest issue in the world is people that don't realize it's a team effort even when you're on the other side of each other. You're trying to somehow build a trust with someone you're buying a house from. And I've seen it go horribly wrong because someone muddies the waters. Oh man, I was about to tell you a really great point and I forgot what it was. That's what happens when you don't sleep a lot. It'll come back to me. And it is like the best. Whatever I was thinking, I was like, yeah, this is what you need to know about selling. And now I can't remember what it was. It'll come back, hopefully. Anyway, guys, let me maybe keep reading this one, and then hopefully I'll remember what I was about to say. Gosh almighty, I hate when that happens. 9:50 in the morning. That's why you need your sleep, people. The window cover just fell down. During the day, I have to cover the windows because the light shoots through my green screen, as you can now see behind my head. Yes, note cards would be big for me to, but this is a live creation show, and unfortunately, when the words come flying out, they come flying out, and sometimes I'm thinking about 5 different things at once, and I want to get it all out to you. But I would say, in general, guys, when it comes down to buying and selling real estate, you really want a professional. You want to make sure that that professional provides you with the information you need, and use your eyes and ears when you are buying a house. Try to see if you could cross your T's, dot your I's before you even put your offer in. You want to be transparent. You want to get to that closing once you get a deal accepted. And you never use inspections to go and try to go after the seller for more stuff. It just doesn't work out like you think it's going to work out. And you may get a thing or two, but you also may get a double decker on the second bathroom or something. I mean, not really, but you're going to get someone who's you're going to piss off somebody. And you never know what happens. Someone who may be willing to leave and do something really nice for you, and instead they have a whole different feeling because of how you treated them. So always remember you're dealing with humans, and it's a weird thing. People always believe that the seller should make the, they're the ones who should take like a drop in their price. But the reality is the buyer, when they purchase, usually they're buying with a mortgage. And that little bit more that they're always negotiating over, whether it's like $5,000 or $10,000, is like $1 a month, $2 a month. And so the fact that they are killing deals over such a small distance or a limited distance from their budget is kind of crazy, because the seller is the one most times that needs to take that somewhere. They need to take that and buy something else in a market that's way out of control. So, it's you got an emotional state going at all times. You have 4 different people. You know what I mean? You got a husband and wife on both sides usually, and each of them have their own emotions, and they're all trying to figure out how to get to a closing. So, man, I wish I remembered that point. I remember it. I'll remember it later. Maybe I'll leave it as a comment for you guys. Let me get back and finish this one up for you. What the hell? Malvertising. Who's it malvertising with us? Cosmetic help versus major reconstruction. Houses that require cosmetic help, such as wallpaper removal, floor refinishing, or even new kitchens or baths and landscaping, represent the easiest category of homes that need work. This type of property allows buyers to transform their new home into their vision. When a buyer purchases a property in need of total renovation, they can basically create the property from scratch and make it everything they want. Buyers must be aware of the type of scope and project they are undertaking and purchasing as a fixer-upper. Inexperienced buyers looking for a bargain should be particularly cautious. Serial homeowners or buyers who have transferred from careers every 3 to 5 years have an advantage over buyers with little experience in the real estate market, as they are aware of the pitfalls. This goes back to what I was saying earlier, was you don't want to go and get an E-Trade account if you don't know anything about finance. You don't want to go and just learn the real estate business because you have to sell a house. You lean on people who are phenomenal at their jobs in order to give you the information you need and to keep you abreast of what's happening day to day. And, for example, a couple weeks ago, someone said, "Hey, what's the mortgage rates today?" I'm like, guys, I don't look at the mortgage rates every day because I'm not a mortgage guy. I'm a real estate agent. I share the mortgage rates when a client needs them. I'll go and I'll look them up real quick, the same as you can. But the reality is, my daily is to look at the properties that hit the market, the properties that expire, the properties that cancel, the properties that are back on market, the properties that have a price reduction, if there's a few that have a price increase, and see if there's anything there for my clients. If there's any expired listings, I'm calling on them. I call on every expired listing. For example, I wonder if I can right now check and see what's expired. Maybe we'll make a few phone calls here. This is a call-in show, too, guys. You could always call me, 203-903-2255. We are on TikTok, so if the call comes in, I don't know how that'll work out, but we can do that. While I'm on air, I set that phone to function, so you guys can reach out to me and we could talk about topics, real estate related or anything, really. I didn't get to the King Kong story yet, so let me see if I can finish that up. But let's just see if there's anything else here that's worthwhile. If a house has been damaged by flooding or fire and suffered structural damage, major reconstruction may be required. This category represents the most extreme example of buying the worst home in the best neighborhood. If you see something that's run down to the point where the floors are falling in, we've purchased some of these properties before where the agents put it on as a knockdown. It's not even listed as a piece of property to renovate. There's one in Westport, Connecticut. I remember it's on North Ave, and I called the agent up, and I said, "Can we get in to see the inside?" And she goes, "No, we're not showing the inside because this is a knockdown. The house can't be salvaged." I said, "Ma'am, with all due respect, I renovated homes for 15 years. I've heard that before. Do you mind if we take a look?" "Oh, no, we can't. We're not letting anybody in. It's like a hoarding situation." And I said, "But we're not thinking about building a new house there. We're thinking about renovating that house." She goes, "It can't be renovated." I said, "Can you just call the owners, tell them I'd like to come in? We'll be very careful. We're just going to take a walk through to see the foundation, to see the structure, and see if there's anything salvageable." And so she gets back to me. She goes, "Well, I don't know how I got this to work, but they'll let you go in." Okay. So we go in, and we're like, "This is great bones. There's great bones here." And I realized that people are stupid. And it's not just that the agent didn't know her job. The seller probably told him, "Oh, this is a knockdown. Nobody's going to want to renovate this house." And she's like, "Yeah, look how much crap you have in the house. And yeah, it's old." Like, the people are so mental. It's like, yeah, it's old. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for something where the floors are falling in, but the foundation is solid, And to me, that's where the money is. As a realtor who has a family that's in construction, the look, we're always trying to have our eye out for that white whale piece of property where a beautiful piece of land and the house is a piece of garbage. That's what you're looking for. And it's not even just a big piece of land, it's the location of that land. I did an episode of American Renovation. It's one of the series that I created about real estate. I've done a few. One of them is called Get to Know America. You can actually subscribe to that on YouTube. There's 6 towns I've done. And American Renovation is here on this channel, on the Mark Inspires channel. I put it out here. And the idea was to catalog a renovation from beginning to end and then the sales process. I kind of did that. I did the American Renovation was this property in New Canaan, Connecticut. You see the renovation, and then you see at the end, I did an open house there as well. I could put that whole thing together as like a little short movie because I did the scene with my parents. And this was interesting because my father is a builder, my mother's an interior designer, and I had a chance to interview them during this American Renovation. And what I remember asking my father during it, I said, "Now you've been doing this for 30 years. You've been renovating homes for people. Last maybe 10 years, you started doing some flips." I said, "Well, the most important thing that you've learned is location, right?" He goes, "Oh, absolutely. They've bought properties that are in terrible locations, but the house was cool. And then they've purchased properties where the property's exactly where you should be and the house is crap. And without doubt, every single time, it's location that sells your property fastest and then where you get the most money. And of course, if you can get it and it's the worst house in the neighborhood, in the best neighborhood, you are set to make a ton of money when you turn that property. Or just as a side note, you don't even necessarily have to turn it. You could put the sweat equity in, do the work, and then refinance and put some money in your pocket. So there's lots of things you could do if you find a home that needs work. So that's where we are on this story here. I'm going to share what the title of the show was for today. This is the news story of the day, really. And I don't even know what this is going to say, but I thought it was kind of cool. And I just figured it would be awesome for us to read through this one. Can we get it on the screen? What did I do? Oh, of course. Here we go. Okay, this is it right here. Okay, so late apes. Grape Ape. You guys remember Grape Ape? Loved Grape Ape. It's my favorite when I was a kid. Grape Ape, right? I remember Grape Ape at least. Let's read this story to you and figure out what happened to King Kong. The biggest primate ever, King Kong, died off due to a huge mistake. What the freaking heck happened? Exactly why the great ape died off after flourishing for hundreds of thousands of years has been one of the lasting mysteries of paleontology. The largest primate ever to walk the earth went extinct because it could not adapt to its changing environment. With the mighty beast reduced to living off bark and twigs before dying off, scientists said on Wednesday, Gigantopithecus blacki, which stood 3 meters tall, which is 10 feet, and weighed up to 660 pounds, thrived in the forests of southern Asia until a little more than 200,000 years ago. Why exactly the great ape died off after flourishing for hundreds of thousands of years has been one of the lasting mysteries of paleontology ever since a German scientist first stumbled on one of its teeth at a Hong Kong apothecary in the 1930s. That's interesting. The molar was so massive, it was being sold as a dragon's tooth. It was 3 to 4 times bigger than the teeth from any great ape, says Ronald Jean Bewal, a researcher at Australia's Southern Cross University. That intrigued him. And that's where all this research started, said Joanne Bewal, a co-author of a new study in the Journal of Nature. All that has been found of the Gigantopithecus since our four partial jawbones and around 2,000 teeth, hundreds of which were discovered inside caves in southern China's Guangxi province. Nailed it. Even after a decade of excavations in these caves, the cause of the ape's extinction remained elusive. And the co-author Yingqi Zhang, Yingqi Zhang, nailed that third one. According to co-lead author Yingqi Zhang of China's Institute of Vertebrate Paleontology and Paleoanthropology, huge apes can't jump. They know, guys, just because they know. Just like they know what's in the center of the earth, though they've never been able to actually image it. And the deepest we've ever gone is about, I think, 8.3 miles. It's apparently like 4,000 miles to the center or something, but they know what's in it and that it just shifted and it went from going this way to this way. Ooh, how do they know? Because they said it. Guys, remember, we're here to follow what they say, not to follow our conscience and our intuition. I want to say I thought it was kind of interesting. This is a side note. Someone said, why would anybody pretend the world is round if it's not? And this is jarring when I heard this. I remember as a kid being in class and hearing about how the explorers used to think the world was flat and that they were going to fall off the edge. And then that was how they kind of connected the fact that it's not. And the way they did it was they made the explorers sound like idiots. They'd be like, they were so silly. They thought they would just fall off the edge. You know, and that's why no one ever went until Columbus decided to go to the East Indies. Everybody was afraid they were going to fall off the edge. And they're like, what a bunch of silly geese. What a bunch of silly geese. You guys know it's round. You just keep going, you know, and that's the way we were taught. And so this person said, if they can get children to believe things that are against common sense at such a young age, they got you. Because from there, now you're believing whatever they say instead of what you know is true. And I didn't think about it that way. But I was thinking, I want to say 3rd grade or 4th grade when they hit me with this, the world is not flat, the world is a globe, and that somehow you fly and you go around this globe and then you're upside down now. You're upside down when you go to China, when you go to Australia. You're literally flying and you feel like you're like this, but I'm here and now you're upside down, but you didn't feel any of that at all. Yeah. It's just so stupid. It's just so stupid because we would feel our bodies turning upside down and now north is this way and north is that way. It's just stupid. It's just absolutely stupid. And I'm like, don't get me started on evolution. I hear these people, these experts on evolution. I'm like, okay, we came from an ape or from a chimpanzee. Never. It's never happened. It's the stupidest thing in the world. We came from humans. We've evolved as humans, but we were always human beings. We were always this. We didn't come from freaking furry apes. Yeah, we got hair, but we don't have fur. And we did not come from apes or from chimpanzees. I've never seen a chimpanzee birth a human. Somebody send me the video. Love to see it. We've been here, thousands of years now. Has any human ever seen a chimpanzee birth a human? No, because I wanted it was this and it was that. Bullshit. You show me a chimpanzee that births a human because of their evolution process, that now they're ready to now birth humans, and I'll believe you. Outside of that, you're full of shit. And because your creator was connected to Satan, I'm not interested. You guys know about that, right? Let's see. Let's just pull this up real quick. We want to just see if that's accurate. Darwin liked Satan. Let's see. Did the devil make Darwin do it? This is interesting. 1982, this was written. Ooh, guys, this is a full dissertation about this. Interesting. Let me see if I can throw this on the screen so we can take a look at it. Ooh, oh, guys, we're not the first ones to think about this. Look at this. So yeah, basically, ape, chimpanzees, we're not from them, but we're absolutely not going to forget about this. We're going into this one. No, T-Ox, how are you, my friend? No, been live. We came from Neanderthals, he says. Yeah, I think so. That's exactly what I was saying yesterday. It's like we come from Cro-Magnon, or we come from the Desovians or something like that. There were 7 different human-type creatures on this planet at the same time. Neanderthals, Cro-Magnon, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens. We were all here at the same time. 7 different human alien races, and we killed all the other ones, or we procreated with them and then became one. But that's how we evolved. We evolved with those 7 to what we see today. We didn't, and again, this is almost as silly as some guy was like, that chick looks pretty hot, and they're like, dude, that's not a chick, that's a chimpanzee. He's like, I don't care, she's looking good. I'm gonna have a couple drinks of that little root stuff you made, that root tea, where I'm feeling amazing, and I'm gonna go bed that beauty. Dude, that's the freaking chimp. No, it's not. You take another sip of this and you tell me that that's not a chick right there, And then that's how the Bang Biggity Boo took place, and then humans were born, But that's the only way I could see something. It's not like chimpanzee, human. Guys, look, they made a baby human. So stupid, And it's like, again, believing it. We believe it, and we give way to our common sense. We give way to truth for their lie. Big Bang's another one. Didn't happen that way. It's so stupid. We had nothing. There was nowhere for this to expand into. But when it did expand, it expanded on a flat plane. Just right there. I'm like, you're a freaking moron. So it expanded on a flat plane for eternity, but it didn't go this way or that way when it exploded? Explain this one to me, genius. Oh, science is a religion. You need science. It works. There's a lot of stuff that works, but the big stuff, it's a religion. And if you tell me that that's real, but God isn't, I gotta laugh. God is so much more tetherable to this existence than some stupid theory like Big Bang or Darwin. And they teach that in school. You have to believe you came from a chimpanzee. So stupid. Talk about getting rid of God in your life. Oh, you're not special. You're a friggin' ape. Talk about that. Talk about how little they want you to feel like you are. That you're not even special. You come from a primate. You come from a hairy, disgusting orangutan. Look, you're climbing the tree. You must have been an orangutan in a former life. I like to get animated here. I'm sorry, guys. Did the devil make Darwin do it? Historical Perspectives on the Creation-Evolution Controversy by David B. Wilson, Departments of History and Mechanical Engineering, Iowa State University, Ames, Ohio. The 19th century witnessed a conceptual revolution of the first magnitude, not only in biology, but also in geology, theology, philosophy, biblical studies, and physics. From this perspective, this paper sketches these intellectual developments in Britain as they shaped and were shaped by the ideas of Charles Darwin. From this perspective, the paper comments on aspects of the current creation-evolution controversy, including the creationist suggestion that scientists accepted the theory of evolution because Satan persuaded them to do so. index descriptors: evolution, scientific creation, Charles Darwin, and Britain. If the creation-evolution controversy was confined to biology, others of us could rest more easily. Unfortunately, the controversy touches a number of fields, including my own area of interest, the history and philosophy of science. For example, a principal spokesman for scientific creationism has attempted an explanation of the widespread acceptance of evolution by suggesting that Satan himself is the originator of the concept of evolution. In fact, the Bible does say that he is the one which deceiveth the whole world, and that he hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, in Corinthians 4:4. We should read that in my 1775 Bible. Such statements as these must apply especially to the evolutionary cosmology, which indeed is the worldview with which the whole world has been deceived. That's just a quote that this guy said, okay? Having in effect been included in the controversy by this and other statements, I consider it worthwhile to comment on the controversy from the perspective of my own discipline. And I want to do so in this essay by looking at Darwin's own context, 19th century Britain. The 19th century witnessed a conceptual revolution of the first magnitude. It involved, we already got to this part. Not all participants in the revolution were British, of course, but Britain provides a convenient and natural focal point for our attention. After all, 19th century Britain was home to the geologists William Buckland and Charles Lyell, the physicist Lord Kelvin, and the philosopher John Stuart Mill, and the biologist philosopher T.H. Huxley, as well as Darwin himself. Though these men by no means agreed with each other on all points, their combined efforts figured prominently in transforming ideas of a number of issues. While the views of most early 19th century British scientists approximated to those modern creationists, the views of their late century counterparts were close to those of modern evolutionists. This essay contains two parts. The first part attempts to portray 19th century thought as accurately and as brevity and modern scholarship will allow. The second offers reflections on current debates, reflections suggested by the 19th century conceptual revolution. Consider the state of knowledge during the first decade or so of the 19th century. Detailed exploration of the fossil record had only been underway for a short time, and the findings were ambiguous enough to let two major French naturalists, Cuvier and Lemort, that they could disagree sharply on the nature of the fossil evidence. Cuvier had only in very recent years established the reality of extinction. As the preeminent European naturalist of the period, he maintained that the intricate organization of animal bodies precluded biological transmutation. Any significant deviation from the original organism would destroy the organization, resulting not in transmutation but death. Cuvier further thought that a series of localized revolutions or catastrophes must have been linked to the extinctions which had recently been demonstrated. So guys, this is like 4 pages. I'm not going to read it all right now, but I want to get into it later so we can figure out what is going down here, you know? Like, that is pretty cool stuff. Especially, like I said, it's a big theory that Darwin was a Satanist. I don't know if he was or not, but like, I happen to think that the theory is completely nuts, bonkers, you know? It's almost as silly as when you fly from here to China, you go around the hump of Earth, and then you go upside down. You're upside down, but you don't feel it. You don't feel it at all. I think my brother-in-law said, he's like, Mark, I've gone from New York to China, and then from China back to New York. And so I've gone around the Earth. I'm like, yeah, you did. You went around the Earth. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, you don't realize? Like, north is here, and when you go west, you're just going around the outside of this Earth, touching different geographical locations. You go east, you're just going around this way, but you're like, yeah, I'm going over the hump. There's no hump. There's no hump. We could get Flat Earth Dave back on here. Who cares if the Earth is flat around? It changes nothing in our life. Well, the only thing it does change is knowing that you were lied to. That's the issue. Is why? Why? Because they want to be able to manipulate you from a young age, so they start with something like this. And I think the bigger issue is this. And this is my tie-in. Up to 1958, we all were like whatever about Antarctica. And then you had William Byrd, who went down to Admiral Byrd, went down to Antarctica, South Pole, North Pole, and he talks about an inner Earth. He talks about like that there's more land beyond the poles. And all of a sudden, he's dead. And 1959 comes, 1958 comes, and they say, you know what? Let's have a treaty. The entire world agrees to this treaty. They don't agree on anything. This world doesn't agree on anything. But then they agree that no one could go to Antarctica. No one could go to Antarctica. It's off limits. And let's also start this new thing called NASA. So, okay, what are you doing when you're telling people they can't go to Antarctica and start looking up? That's it. Don't go there. Stop looking at places on Earth and go look up there. That's where we're going next. We're going to Mars. We're going to the moon. We're going and look at some of the original videos that they tried to say were real space videos. Like they have this, the first spacewalks. Watch it, guys. You'll realize how much of a lie it's been from the beginning. Everything's been a lie. They're telling some crazy Hollywood story. And so if you look back through all of this, you realize this is a big game, and the amount of money they've spent in order to put on this con, it's mind-blowing. And the bigger reason I think that this is all done is because we don't own this earth. We are not here alone. We are here above the certain latitude, and that's where we exist. But below that and down in this Antarctica space and whatever else is out, the land beyond, it's owned by a different race of people. And that's why we see things flying around our sky that we can't comprehend. We don't know where do they come from. They came from down there. They came from underwater. But they own this planet. They allow us to live here. And so part of that treaty, which we don't know about, and this is what I believe, is that the aliens told all of the world governments, get the fuck out of here. You're not allowed here. You come here, we're going to demolish you. Have you seen our power? You see what we could do with our flugelhorns? I think they call them. You see what we could do with our spacecraft? So you can't do any of that. We could go, you can't do that. And now, of course, what happens over the last 70 years, we're trying to reverse engineer all this technology because we know these people exist. Our governments, the governments of this world know that we are not the top of the food chain. They know that we are second in line, if not even further down that list. There's reptilians, there's all kinds of stuff that we are not privy to. But the most important one is that we can't go to Antarctica. Antarctica's off limits because it's owned by somebody else, and it's not the governments of this world. The governments of this world were told, don't come back. If you do, we're going to blast you the F out of here, all of you. And that's why no one could get in Antarctica. And that's why they tell people the world is round and it's not flat. Because if people knew that it is, they would start exploring. They would say, I'm going down. I don't give a crap what you say. And I'm starting to see more of that anyway. People are saying I'm going. You see videos of people getting turned back by like military. It's like, what are you so afraid of? You got a boat going. And what are you so afraid of? You know? So I just think, again, that's just my theory based on what I know of Antarctica, what I know of the fact that I'm looking when I'm up in the sky and I'm seeing that a plane doesn't do this ever. It's always it's this for 4 hours, 6 hours straight at 36,000 feet. It doesn't go 36,000, 37,500, 300, 200 in order to work around the curvature of the earth because that doesn't exist. It's not a flat surface, people. It's not a flat surface. There is undulations, and you got mountains, and you got all kinds of different things all over the place, buttes and everything. But as far as it goes, this is a top-level living experience. There isn't living underneath it bullcrap. We're living there, living here, living over there, living over here, and the center of it is north. And it's always going to be that. That's why Polaris is always where it is. So that's just my feeling on it. Probably way off, but you know what? Prove me wrong, guys. I'm going to have Flat Earth Dave back on, hopefully, so he can talk to us about a little bit more of the detail behind my theory here. But I do believe this is a ultimate con to keep people away from the real truth, which is that we are here together. We're stuck here. We can't leave. This is a closed system. No one's ever been to space. We can't go to space, and we will be stuck on this terrarium forever. And if you are open to that, try to see if we can come together and elevate our spirits to a new level, because it's not going to happen getting off this rock. That's just insane. So, fam and friends, I do have to say, we have to get going. Amy, Brenda, Green Tea, King Kong, Noodle Maker in the house, Tarish Killian, Yee Teox. I got Teox here too. Oh my goodness. The center is the iron at the center of the earth. Well, Noodle, you don't have to be mean. I would say that this is an opportunity for people to speak how they feel. And if you are a scientist, you could share some information. but calling people names is never a good start, especially when you find your way into a platform. You're probably better off just asking questions and saying how you feel about things, because that's the reality. Is we're here talking, and there's lots of different opinions online, and that's why I'm just taking all of those and saying, well, what would be an interesting theory from that? We're not allowed down to Antarctica, and there's no way that I could see that a plane can keep going and go and turn upside down, and you don't feel any of that. You're still upright, but you just somehow went around the outside of the Earth. It just sounds so silly to me. But what doesn't sound silly is that you go like this, and you think you're going around. And because you're flat and you keep going, and because you're tethered to this center point, as you're saying, the core, which is the North Pole, you think you're going around this way when you're really just going around, and that north is always keeping you kind of locked in. It just seems like, it's almost like tetherball. It's just like tetherball. You guys remember tetherball? That's what it seems like to me. But gravity's a theory. It's never been proven. And look at bees, for example. If you look at honeybees, they levitate. How do you explain that with gravity? How can a bee levitate using frequency? If gravity's a thing, gravity should be able to suck that bee in. Wind should just blow those bees aside if gravity was real. But gravity is weight falling. Gravity's weight falling. If you take a feather, it falls at I don't know, maybe it falls at the same speed. I think it does. I've seen a study on that before. But the thing is, there's way too many holes that I feel like you can't just call it one thing or the other. And I think that it's a very, very sad state of affairs if you can't ask questions, especially when things don't make sense. You should be able to ask questions, and then intelligent people should answer those questions and say how they feel about them. But it's never a good thing when you're going at someone and you're calling them names for having an idea or a theory, especially when you're doing it live in the moment. I don't have any idea what I'm going to say ever on this show. I come out here and I live in the moment and I speak. And again, no matter what world you live in, if you say anything that is the antithesis of what the world is saying, you're considered a whack job. And I'm just a guy who's been live for 5 years in a row every day, and I'm asking questions because I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. One of my best friends works for UTC, which is this aerospace company, and they do like all kinds of stuff for space mirrors. And I'm always joking with him. I'm like, yeah, but we've never been to space. He's like, and I'm like, dude, like, explain to me how some of these things work. Like, vacuum of space, there's no way for you to get the friction for a rocket to push you anywhere. Like, you're as soon as you get to the vacuum, you're done. So how? How did you get to Mars? How did you get to the moon? Like, how do you have thrust? And you can watch studies of this. In a vacuum, there is no thrust. Rockets don't work. So what are we working with here, Okay, then you do not believe the Earth is round. I don't think the Earth is round. I don't think the Earth is flat. I think the Earth is something that's a little bit of a mix. And I absolutely know it's not round, and you should too. It's a spheroid. A spheroid is not round. Every photo you've ever seen of the Earth is a lie because they show you a round ball. The Earth is like this, if they're right. It's a spheroid, which is literally compressed because of, they say, the spin, and that the equator bulges because of that water. And so what you should see is something like this in their photos. But instead they show you a perfect globe. And that's why we know it's a lie. And that's sad, actually. I wish they'd just show us what's there. Show us the planet. And then if you go and look at their pictures, they have one from 1,000,000 miles beyond Earth. But if you look at it, you could tell it's made in Photoshop because the moon, nothing makes sense. The size, nothing is correct. And it doesn't even look real. That's the sad thing. Man, I would love it if we could go to the moon. Yeah, me too, Amy. Oh, goodness. I guess, guys, this is the other thing. This show is not about this. This show is about music and comedy and getting together and forgetting about the negative world for a little while. So I definitely am done with it as well. No more science, especially since none of it makes sense to me. I'm still keeping my faith in God. Intelligence, a creative designer. So real. There's nothing else that you can say about that. Anything else is definitely the devil's work, right? I mean, you're so beautiful. Like, you are so beautiful. The way you were built, how you were designed, it's amazing. You can never just be created out of chaos like you are. It's not possible. It wouldn't be possible. And I think that's the thing, is that they hold on to this thread. Well, there's no way you can't say it isn't possible. So there's that 1% chance that it could happen out of chaos, so we got to say that that's how it happened. No, I think there's a 99.9% chance that it was God, that it was the creator, because every creation has a creator. It's not like chaos just brought all of this beauty into this world. You can't see it. So anyway, I will see you guys later on. Hit the music machine yet. I will be back for some live music tonight, guys. Please do me a favor and spread the word. Leave a comment here if you can. And we keep it light, especially later. Amy WC, thank you again. Brenda in the house. Green Tea, King Kong, Modoc Roughstock, Noodle Maker, good to see you. Thanks for coming and for playing along. Renee Woods, Salmon Farce, my brother, Trish Killian, and Noodle, I hope you come back, because this is definitely not a topic that I usually get into. It's more about the live music, the improv, and just getting away from the crappy world for a little while. So join us later, day 1,835 in a row, part 2, 36 in a row, part 2. Until then, this is the Mark and Spire Show. You got to wait. Until later. I'll try to be back earlier tonight, guys. Can't do another late show. 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, if I could do it, it'd be awesome. Stay tuned. Community posts. No one sees them, but I'll keep putting them out there. If you see them, please leave a comment. Please like it or something. It's getting kind of weird when I post a community post every day and I get zero of anything. 13,000 plus people. Silence. See you tomorrow.